Detective Luca Benedetti is being remembered today as being both dedicated to his job and his family. Dusty Baker is live with that story at the San Luis Obispo Police Station. Dusty?
Good evening, Nina. 37-year-old Luca Benedetti called San Luis Obispo Police Department his home for the last 9 years. And of course, now with the community as well as his colleagues with broken hearts, they react to his loss.
Detective Benedetti was hired by SLO PD in 2012. Prior to that, he worked for 4 years as a police officer with the city of Atascadero. He is survived by his wife and his 2 young children.
Heartbreak and sadness, the emotions local officials experiencing the day after 37-year-old Detective Luca Benedetti died due to gunshot wounds. With the pain comes the memory of an officer that put his life on the line for the community and people he loved.
I had the distinct pleasure of working with Luca over the past 9 years. I considered him a personal friend.
I first met Luca Benedetti when he was a rookie trainee with the Atascadero Police Department. I was impressed back then with how calm, professional, and caring he was in performing his duties as a police officer. I was not surprised when several years later, in November 2012, to hear of him helping a woman in labor deliver her baby in the Atascadero Police Department parking lot.
Benedetti earned numerous honors over the years, including the 2017 Top Cop Award for Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Thought of Luca as one of the best in law enforcement because of his calm demeanor, his very professional work product, his deep care for the safety of our community, and his authentic friendship. We are a safer community today because of the excellent work of Detective Luca Benedetti, and I'm very proud to say that we were friends.
He was a dedicated officer, a talented detective, a proud member of the San Luis Obispo Regional SWAT team, and most importantly, a loving husband and father.
To give the San Luis Obispo Police Department time and space to grieve, the San Luis Obispo Sheriff's Office, as well as other allied institutions, will come together and take calls over the coming days. Reporting in San Luis Obispo Live, Dusty Baker, KSBY News.
Dusty, thank you. The city has declared flags will be lowered to half-staff in honor of Officer Benedetti and his family.
A high school athlete's dream to take their talents to the next level. At Arroyo Grande High School, 16 athletes will be doing just that, and for 11 of them officially signing their letters of intent today, I talked to several of those athletes to talk about what this means for them moving forward.
I've been wanting to play volleyball in college for my whole life now.
A lifelong goal achieved as Ella Hartford and her fellow peers at Arroyo Grande High School are moving on to the next level.
It's such an honor to be able to go and be one of the top athletes at the school, being able to play at a higher level and just continuing my career.
It took a lot of work, a lot of perseverance, a lot of obstacles in the road, but, super happy about the outcome, and I'm really glad to be able to, compete at the highest level, D1.
Their athletics here are pretty good, so I'm excited that I get to say that I came to this school, and it's pretty local. It's pretty close to Cal Poly, so I can say that my school was just kind of down the road.
For Lucas Dawes and Peyton Dunkel, their commitments go far and beyond the track and courts as they will continue the path laid before them with family ties to their universities.
I'm going to major in biology. My plan is to go pre-med, and my dad also went there, so he's a doctor as well, so I'm just following the path.
I got to get to know a lot of the team over time because my sister goes to the school, and then I've known the coaches for a little bit, and everyone's just a good person on and off the court, so I knew that was a good place to go.
Following a challenging school year, May 12th of 2021 will be a day these Eagles will never forget.
We went to school for 4 years together, and I've seen everyone work pretty hard, and all their hard work has paid off, so I'm happy for everyone here.
Congratulations to all Arroyo Grande Eagles athletes on pursuing your goals. We wish you the best of luck in the future. Well, it was a path unlike any other. 13 months ago, former Major League Baseball player Drew Robinson losing his eye due to a suicide attempt. Last night, the 29-year-old Robinson, with just one good eye, hit his first home run as a member of the Sacramento River Cats, the AAA affiliate of the San Francisco Giants. It was his first home run since his suicide attempt. He tweeted, "Chills, tears of every emotion in the book," while rounding the bases. Hashtag bigger than me, hashtag bigger than baseball. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly why we play sports, because sometimes it means more than just a game. All right, that'll do it for sports. Back to you, Nina.
Dusty, thank you. Still ahead in our next half hour, President Biden meets with congressional leaders over infrastructure this afternoon. What conditions Republican leaders say must be included for a spending bill. Plus, internet speeds have been more important than ever over the last year. How the president's latest infrastructure bill will improve connectivity.
Mustang Way today.
In the latest news from Washington, Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney has officially been ousted from her number 3 position within the House leadership. The House Republican Conference removed Cheney behind closed doors this morning on Capitol Hill. Instead of a secret ballot, the ouster occurred by a voice vote of members. That means there are no recorded totals. Cheney said after the vote she promises to forge ahead and spoke out against former President Donald Trump.
I will do everything I can to ensure that the former president never again gets anywhere near the Oval Office. We have seen the danger that he continues to provoke with his language. Ultimately,
she has come under fire for condemning former President Trump's claims about the 2020 election and for voting to impeach him for inciting the January 6th Capitol riot. It is still unclear who her successor will be. Today at the White House, President Biden met with top congressional Republicans and Democrats. The president is seeking some pathway to bipartisanship, especially on an infrastructure bill. After the meeting, Republican leaders said that they will only go along with a deal that does not raise taxes. How fast is your internet? That is probably an answer you don't necessarily know, unless there is something you can't do online, like join a video conference. Joe St. George takes a look at how many Americans cannot connect virtually and how the proposed infrastructure bill may finally get them online.
Well, I don't really like school because I'd much rather work.
14-year-old Ruben Neppert may share your child's views of school as we approach the end of another school year. This 8th grader already excited to use his unique auctioneering skills this summer. But before Ruben makes the leap to high school, it's important to reflect on what he went through this past school year, particularly when it comes to accessing the internet.
I cannot do anything online. It just doesn't connect.
You see, Ruben lives in Fulton County, Pennsylvania, population 14,000, and while the views are great, the internet is not. The federal government currently defines 25 megabits per second as an acceptable internet speed in Fulton County. According to the independent research group Broadband Now, only 47% have access to that. The majority here may be able to buy internet, but it's not that great. Ruben's family doesn't have it because their home is too far from town. As a result, he's forced to come to a school parking lot to do his homework most nights. Wi-Fi is at least reliable here.
Normally, I just spent hours and hours just here at school doing it.
What's happening here with the internet is being replicated in small towns all across the country, and Washington knows it, which is why broadband reform is a major component of the president's infrastructure bill.
We're going to talk a lot about infrastructure today.
The president meeting with congressional leaders Wednesday to continue his push. President Biden wants $100 billion for broadband improvements. He estimates 35% of rural America lacks quality internet access. The president wants acceptable internet speeds in 100% of the country by 2030. The improvements are part of the president's American Jobs Plan to fix infrastructure, including roads and bridges. To pay for it all, he wants to raise corporate taxes from 21% to 28%. While Democrats and Republicans both want rural America connected virtually, the debate over paying for it is where the controversy emerges.
I would often see him and his mom here at the parking lot.
Dr. Christina Ramsey, Ruben's principal, says this is about fairness. It's tough for her school to keep winning awards when you can't live stream a lesson.
Because of our broadband, that's just not always availability. That's just not an option for us. I think the biggest thing is giving our students the opportunity to be able to have access and have it fair and equal across the board.
As negotiations continue in Congress, Ruben says he'll just continue to learn the best he can with this message for Washington.
It just makes life a lot easier if I could do it while I'm at the house.
In Fulton County, Pennsylvania, I'm Joe St. George.
The U.S. Secret Service reports today it has recovered $2 billion taken from pandemic relief programs through fraud. The Secret Service director says COVID fraud cases have also led to more than 120 arrests. The agency says it has opened more than 1,000 investigations looking into fraudulent claims. After hackers shut down the 5,500-mile Colonial Pipeline this weekend, communities now running low and in some cases completely out of gas across the South and Mid-Atlantic. The attack by Russian hackers is the latest and largest target in a string of ransomware attacks that have already exceeded $350 million this year. That's up 300% from last year. Emergency declarations have been issued in Georgia, Virginia, and North Carolina. A rush to the pump is adding to the problems.
Motorists are hoarding fuel and panicking. And even if there was a pipeline open, stations wouldn't be able to keep up.
10 states are operating under federal disaster declarations. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg says this allows states to issue permits for additional gas, and a priority is getting fuel to communities that need it. An update now in the Middle East. Rockets streamed out of Gaza again as Israel hit the Palestinian territory with airstrikes. This is the most severe outbreak of violence since the 2014 war. Officials in Gaza report 53 Palestinians have died in the conflict and at least 6 Israelis have been killed. Protests have broken out in multiple Israeli cities, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has called the protest anarchy. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken says Deputy Assistant Hadi Amr is heading to the region.
We are very focused on this. The United States remains committed to a two-state solution. This violence takes us further away from that goal.
The UN Security Council has also planned to meet today, also urging de-escalation from both sides. The city of Santa Maria has a new fire chief coming up. He is a Cal Poly alum and a familiar face at the department, what his priorities are as he steps into the role. And Stockton recently finished a guaranteed income study where similar pilot programs are set to begin across the country.
On KSBY 6.
KSBY News is committed to telling stories of creativity as the Central Coast works to rebound. Tonight, the Universal Income Experiment is being tested in programs nationwide after a success in Stockton. Ashar Qureshi has more from one community that has struggled with economic hardships for years.
Gary, Indiana, once a prosperous steel town, known as the birthplace of the King of Pop, it's now home to some 13,000 abandoned properties. More than 30,000 here live below the poverty line. But the city is experimenting with an economic shot in the arm.
What I have seen is people literally, if you give them the information that's needed, if you give them a hand up instead of a handout, they do good with it. Hi there, my name is
Burgess Peoples is the executive director of the Guaranteed Income Validation Effort, or GIVE. Over the next year, the program will give a supplemental $500 a month, no strings attached, to 125 Gary residents.
This little small part that I'm doing is just going to give people the finances to go and start spending money everywhere to try to help us all, build this city back up.
Mayors for a Guaranteed Income, a group of 44 mayors committed to tackling economic inequality, provided Gary with $500,000 in seed money it needed to get started. It's now one of 8 pilot programs that have been launched around the country. Another 10 have been publicly announced. The only eligibility requirements for participants were that they be at least 18 years of age, be a resident of the city, and not have an income of more than $35,000 a year. More than 4,000 people applied to the Gary program. The recipients were selected at random.
The initial reaction is this for real? Oh, wow.
Peoples calls each one to break the news.
Your name is one of the names that were pulled to be selected as a recipient of the $500 for 12 months.
Oh, thank you, God.
Tammy Bourne Townsend, a mother of 2 and grandmother to 7, nearly missed her call. But when it came through, she was ecstatic.
I was like hollering and screaming and just overcome with the fact that I can see the light. I can see my goals coming closer.
One of her goals is to put that extra income toward buying a new home for her family.
Because I'm a working woman, okay? I don't mind working, but this is an opportunity for me to get ahead.
Gary is seeing some positive economic indicators. New businesses are moving in, development is starting up, and some, like restaurant owner Kendall McMiller, think Guaranteed income will only help.
I think it will, because the funds that they get, they'll be able to spend in the community, which brings the community back up.
For now, Peoples gets to be a kind of fairy godmother, providing seed money for the most basic of dreams.
One mother, and it always get me. She has 4 children, and they have one bed. And so she said her first check that she received, she's going to buy beds for her and her kids. And that gets me every time.
Gary hopes their program will mirror Stockton's success of alleviating financial insecurity, doubling full-time employment, and enhancing mental well-being. Reporting from Gary, Indiana, I'm Usher Qureshi.
May Gray has been hanging around here on the Central Coast. Chief Meteorologist Dave Hovde says he will join us again with more on when it could clear up in his full microclimate forecast. But first, here's a look at Shell Beach from earlier today, thanks to surfline.com. In Positively Central Coast, we like to highlight ways the community is working together for good. Tonight, 6 Central Coast women are being recognized for their positive effect on the people around them. Representative Salud Carvajal honors the 6 women with a 2021 Woman of the Year award. They all will receive a written tribute that will be inducted into the congressional record. They represent cities across the Central Coast